Welcome everyone to another week, another episode of The Focus TV. We're joined by Cardell Dudley Jr., Octavia Wyatt, Raymond Lyons. I am Wilson Turbay Jr. Welcome to Season 8, Episode 1 of The Focus TV. Cardell's checking in. You guys can see behind him from the Smith Center. George Washington's hosting North Carolina A&T. Big halftime kind of just ended. The second half began. Cardell, what's going on at the Smith Center?
It's a hell of a game that's going on. GW is up 48-44. They were up 44-33 at halftime. Led by Rafael Castro, who's had a monster first half, man. 6'11" transfer for Providence. Super athletic big. First half, he had 10 points, 11 rebounds, 3 steals, and 2 blocks in the first half. It looked like GW was running away from it, and North Carolina A&T had other plans. They came out, it's about almost 4 minutes gone in the second half. They came out, went on a quick 8-0 run, led by Jonathan Lamar, who played at St. Francis. The Durham parents, who's a rookie with the Wizards, they share the same backcourt. Transfer from Maryland, hit 2 quick threes, and now we have a ball game. The difference in the game, honestly, is just the size of GW up front between Castro and Darren Buchanan. Darren Buchanan is having a game as well, 10 points and 6 rebounds at this point, at 5-9 shooting. But the guard play is made even. Between North Carolina A&T and GW's guards. Glasper for A&T, 10 points, 6 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals. Forrest, 12 points, 3 rebounds, 2 steals. And I just spoke about Lamar, he has 8 points and 2 assists. So their guards getting downhill. When they get open shots, they're knocking it down. And they're challenging Carousel. They're not scared and intimidated. You just altering the block of shots. But every now and then, they get one to fall, get to the free throw line. Or they'll draw, suck in the defense, kick it out for open shooter. And that's how they're back in this game. They're tough, man. They get hit, knocks to the floor, and they just keep coming. The Aggies guard. So, we're going to see how it goes, man. But it's an unexpected door for you. Let's just say that.
We know how important guard play is on a collegiate level. Obviously, it's early in the year. You just give a sense of what you might think. How do you see that playing out? Obviously, you talk about Castro and the way he's protecting the rim and whatnot, but it's about guard play at this level, no matter how, unfortunately, sometimes, no matter how great your bigs might be.
If George Washington slow down and get the ball inside, they'll go up double digits and win by double digits, just like they were in the first half. If they keep playing to North Carolina A&T style, having a track meet, you give them a chance. Just like Jonathan Lamar just turned the corner, scored a layup, now they're down 1. It's 51-50 GW. But GW's playing that game, and the guards are trying to match where A&T guards are going to stick to their game plan. If they just stay poised and don't fall into that trap, they should be fine. But if they don't, as you can see, we're going either way.
And that means no matter how this goes, if this second half stays how it's going, it's going to make for a very exciting recap. And folks, you can check out that recap. Get over to Finest Mag on Twitter. And also it's going to be on the Focus channel as well. Over on Roku, that's where the first GW recap, the last GW recap was as well. So Cardell, enjoy the second half. And we look forward to seeing how things end up.
All right, man. Check with y'all later.
All right, sticking with college basketball. This weekend, Cardell and I ended up in College Park for Maryland women's hosting Duke. The first time they kind of played each other, since the good old ACC days. All of us here are old enough to remember, what the conferences used to be, the disrespectful way that I will now talk about the Pac-12 now that it no longer exists. And as it goes forward, I will not acknowledge whatever the new thing is. I remember the old Pac-12, Pac-12 After Dark, all that good stuff. Look, the last time Maryland and Duke played was in the Sweet 16 in March 2015. So it was good that we got to see these two teams go at it again. Obviously, you got some DMV ties, obviously, with Kara Lawson coaching Duke now. She talked about how great it was being back in the area. They have 5 players from the area on the Duke roster. That said, Maryland, they passed their first test early in the year with an 85-80 win over Duke. Four Maryland players reached double figures, led by Kayleen Smichael, 23 points. Shy Sellers with another all-around effort with 17 points, 7 assists, and 5 boards. They also got 15 from Bree McDaniel, 11 of which came in the second half. And I feel like 8 of the 11 came in the third quarter when they sorely needed it, because Shy Sellers and new big Christina Dolce were in foul trouble. And if anybody's been following Maryland basketball the last couple of years, when Shy Sellers is in foul trouble, things tend to get a little bit dark in the past. But shout out to Maryland because of their depth, able to, get through this. But again, both coaches talked about the value of facing quality opponents early in the year. A lot of folks love this, the more aesthetically pleasing blowouts this time of the year. But, as Coach Lawson and Coach Free says, you don't learn anything from those. What you do get is things from these close games, these non-conference matchups that help you learn about your team. Like Brenda was talking about, to the point where it's not just the players learning, like she still needs to find out who the top inbounders of the team are. And if you watch that game on Sunday, you see why that is important, because they struggle quite a bit with the Blue Devils press here and there. And it had a heavy factor in that game. But for a more in-depth breakdown on that game, head over to our Roku channel to see Cardell and myself had to say about that win. We're going to keep things basketball for the moment. Ray, we're going to slide over to the Wizards, and then Octavia, we're going to get to the NFC East, because we have to talk about one of the better divisions in football. You see, there's nothing but respect here being paid by myself. But Ray, the Wizards.
Yeah, going through some growing pains right now. They're on their first big road trip of the season. They're over so far. They dropped one to the Rockets last night, 107-92. Yeah, plain and simple. They just got housed, man. The Rockets, they set the tone from the tip. They were very physical, very intent on what they planned to do. They were getting downhill, basically at will. And then in the fourth quarter, Alperen Sengun, he just shut the door on them. A lot of times, we talk about it coming down to which team has the best player. The Rockets had the best player last night, and it showed. The Wizards made a game of it. They got as close as 6 before Sengun just kind of went crazy over a 6-7 minute stretch, and that was pretty much the ball game. Yeah, this was the first game. We talked about it a little bit on Outlook last night. This was the first game where, the effort from the young guys really wasn't up to par. Typically when we get in here and talk about them, we just talk about their tenacity and their intensity. It just wasn't there last night, and it showed. If all three of them collectively have games like that, then really the Wizards have no chance. Even though they're young, speaking of Bub Carrington, Keyshawn George, and Alex Sarr, they're a big part of the rotation. So they need to produce, plain and simple. So yeah, all three of them just basically had off nights. Bilal had an off night as well. He's a big piece of what they want to do. It was Kuz's first game back. He looked like it was his first game back. He had 18, but he took 18 shots to get it and had 0 assists. And Poole played his most erratic game of the season. I think he had 8 turnovers. So, just a comedy of errors and all those things happening at once. It's damn near impossible to win a game, when you're a team like the Wizards. Yeah, they got dominated on the boards. Houston won the rebounding battle 58-34. And naturally, they went on second chance points as well. And they dominated points in the paint, 60-38. They just got to have more of a presence inside, offensively and defensively. But that'll come with time and guys getting in the weight room. So yeah, man, they'll continue the road trip. Think they have. I don't want to misspeak.
I got you
real quick.
I got you. They got Spurs, Atlanta.
Spurs tomorrow. Yeah, and then the Hawks on Friday. So yeah, he's talking about their interior woes, and they got to play Wemby tomorrow. So good luck. then they got Atlanta on Friday, who they have the only 2 wins of the season against. So, hopefully they can at least end the road trip on a positive note. But mainly just looking for them to bounce back and get to that level of competition they were showing prior to last night's game. I think if that can just be the baseline they build on that, then they'll be fine. But yeah, we'll see, man. They're 2-7 right now. Definitely don't want to get on the road and not come back with at least one. So we'll see how things shake out the rest of the week.
Yeah, and we get a nice little France has to be happy tomorrow night, seeing 3 of its future members all on the floor in that game. But yeah, we'll check it with you guys after that one. We'll have another more Wizards Outlook. As Ray said, you don't want to come back over on a road trip, regardless of what you're going through. 1 or 2 would be cool. But Octavia, what the hell's happening in the NFC East?
Man, I don't know. It's a lot going on. It's always a lot going on. I don't know what it is, but I'm very happy with the results this week. I'll start off with saying that. Don't worry, guys. It's not nice. To be fair, we'll start where we always start. We'll start with the home team, the Commanders. I think we finally got a week this week where, everybody's a little bit quieter for the first time. I feel like this season, everybody can pump the brakes just a tiny bit. Just a little.
Hold on, both y'all gonna smile in solidarity. I just want to let y'all know how sick that looks.
Look,
I'm gonna go mind my business. Continue, y'all got it.
And it's like I understand it. They've been struggling for years, and I have never seen so many people at Northwest Stadium ever in forever. And to be fair, it did kind of look reminiscent of how it's been in the last couple of years because the Steelers fans really were in there pretty deep. We know the Steelers fans travel very, very well. But the Commanders, in my opinion, got their first real test of the season against the Pittsburgh Steelers. They lost to the Steelers 28-27. Jaden Daniels was 17 of 34, 202 yards, 0 touchdowns. He was sacked 3 times and had 3 carries for 5 yards. Austin Eckler had 13 carries for 44 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 1 reception for 7 yards. Jeremy McNichols had 4 carries for 7 yards and 1 touchdown, and Terry McLaurin had 5 receptions for 113 yards. As you can see, the score was 28-27. It was really a good game, to be fair. I found myself trying to go back and forth between this game and the Maryland and Duke game, and I was just like, I don't know where to go. So it was definitely a really good game. I think it was their biggest test so far. And it was probably, if you want to say it, and I hate to say it this way because I don't really feel like it's fair to him, but you would probably say this was probably Jaden Daniels' worst game of the year. Just stats wise, 17 of 34, 22 yards, no touchdowns thrown. He didn't really get to rush like he usually does, 3 carries for the 5 yards. It's clear that they also are missing Brian Robinson Jr., who did not play in the last 2 games, although Austin Eckler did step up, as well as Jeremy McNichols. It seems like Jeremy McNichols and Chris Rodriguez are kind of going back and forth with that third back behind. And they're turning into backups just depending on if Brian Robinson is in or not. He was out again with a hamstring issue. But all in all, they still fared decently well when it came to the rushing. The rushing of their team with Austin Eckler. As we know, Austin Eckler has a knack for finding the end zone, as he has all of those years in the past, playing for the Chargers. But they rushed for 60 yards as a team. But they're playing against, as we know, a very stout defense in the Pittsburgh Steelers. Like I said, Jaden Daniels, he probably had his worst statistical game of the year. He wasn't as accurate as he usually is. He missed on 2 crucial throws in the second half. One would have gained 20 to 30 yards, and another would have possibly resulted in a 96-yard touchdown. He was wide on one pass, and he needed to put up more air under another. So he was a little bit off. I would probably attribute that to the defense. Although I feel like, as much as you possibly can contain TJ Watt. I think they did a fairly decent job of it. Unfortunately for the Steelers, Alex Highsmith got injured in this game. That's going to hurt their chances going forward, of course. But to be fair, they kind of shot themselves in the foot a lot of the times during this game. A lot of the reason why they ended up being on the wrong side of this game had to do with just small miscues that they just missed during the game. You never want to put anything on one person, of course. It's not that person's fault, but end of the game with well, I guess you could do it two ways. End of the game, Zach Ertz, catching that pass on 4th and 9, and he was just apparently a slightly not beyond the sticks. Of course, there was a lot of controversy. Of course, from TV, it looks like he made it. You have to be reminded, of course, that the yellow line is not an official line, and we will never know what it is. Only the actual referees and everybody that's in the review booth would know. So they looked at a review and they confirmed it on that. So it was a turnover on downs for them. And then when the Pittsburgh Steelers got to 4th and 1 or 5 or something like that, I feel like everybody in the stadium knew that it was going to be a hard count. But sometimes, you get players who, of course, they want to make their mark. And I'm not saying he did this just to do that. But, in a tough game like that, when you're, right now in a winning culture, you want to be able to contribute to that. So, unfortunately for them, the rookie jumped off sides, and that was it. Russell Wilson threw a beautiful pass a bunch of times in this game. One to George Pickens, who had an amazing catch, as well as newly acquired Mike Williams. I'm sure he is ecstatic to be out of New York or New Jersey, whatever you want to call it. I mean, come in on a Wednesday and catch the game winner on a Sunday. After apparently Aaron Rodgers liked to blame everybody but Devontae Adams and himself. So it was just, it was a tough game. The one thing that I've seen repeatedly this week after that game is everybody is on St. Juice's head. Baby, they owe him bad. And it's a little funny to me just because I have a close friend that's a Commanders fan. And before this game happened, they had the Marshawn Lattimore trade last week. And he was so excited because he was like, because we got to get St. Juice out because he's a walking passing interference. And when it happened literally on the first play of the game on the defensive side for them, I literally talked. I was like, oh, you were serious when you say he's a walking pass interference. I mean, it's bad to the point where, like I said, where you saw the positive Commanders tweets and stuff in this area the last couple of weeks, but they're calling for him. Emmanuel Forbes doesn't even play anymore. I mean, former first-round pick. He can't even get on the field. At this point, they can't wait till Marshawn Lattimore plays, who did not play in this game because he also has a hamstring injury, which, go figure. You get traded to come to a team, and of course they want him to contribute immediately, and he has to sit out a pretty big game for them due to an injury. Although hindsight, of course, I'm sure they're trying to save him to be really ready for the game this Thursday for them. But still, they just had too many wasted chances. They blew a 10-point lead. They were up 24-14 at one point. And Mike Tomlin is looking like a genius that he is by inserting Russell Wilson over Justin Fields, where it's proved to be the right decision for him. Like he says, that's why he gets well compensated. He's doing the thing. He knows what he's doing. He's been there for however long at this point. But I mean, it was an encouraging sight for the Commanders to at least stay in this game with a newly refreshed Pittsburgh Steelers. As we know, the last couple of years they haven't been amazing, and they still have their faults as the year is going on. But it was definitely a big game for them. Probably their biggest test outside of them playing the Ravens. They will have another huge test, which is probably what I hate to say that that's what they were focused on because you don't want to say that. But of course you have to think somewhere in the back of their mind, they know they have a Thursday night game. It's a quick week, quick turnaround. They're trying to get through this game, but also knowing that they have to prepare themselves for the Thursday night game, which will go for the division leader. We'll get to that, of course, but they will play Thursday in Philadelphia against my Eagles. Let's go. So let me say thank you to the Pittsburgh Steelers for putting us in first place right now. We will not let you down. State of Pennsylvania. Next, we're going to go to, I promise I do not want to spend a lot of time on them. The New York Giants, Jesus Christ. The New York Giants played against the Carolina Panthers in Germany. In Germany, they went all the way to Germany to lose to the Panthers. 20-17. Daniel Jones was 22 of 37, 190 yards, 0 touchdowns, passing, 2 interceptions. He was sacked twice. He had 7 carries for 26 yards and 1 touchdown. Tyrone Tracy Jr., 18 carries, 103 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 reception for 1 yard, and 1 horrible fumble loss. Jesus Christ. And Wan'Dale Robinson had 5 receptions for 51 yards. I don't know what's going on. I know I've said this on this program before. I play a pick'em league, and every week we have to pick who's going to win. And I was literally sitting here like, Giants, Panthers, Giants, Panthers. Which one's worse? Giants, Panthers. And early in the week, I picked the Panthers to win. But you know what? I think my NFC East allegiance started to take over. And I was like, the Giants can't lose to the Panthers. Come on. Lord Jesus, I should have never changed my pick. It's just bad. It's just all the way around bad. It just stinks. Like their defense is regressing as the weeks are going on. I mean, Dexter Lawrence, God bless his heart. He's doing everything he can. I'm sure Brian Burns thought Spider-Man was coming to save the day, and he ain't saving nothing. They are 2-8 for the second straight season with 5 straight losses. I mean, Malik Neighbors has got to be punching air. Like, what am I doing here? It's just bad. It's just bad. You know, Daniel Jones just looks like he's lost any type of momentum that he had, if he had any at any point. On the flea flicker play, he missed 2 wide open players. It looks like he's terrified to throw interceptions, even though he still threw 2 of them. At this point, I don't know why he just doesn't go balls to the walls. Like in that game, it's the Panthers. You got to do something. His running back, Tyrone Tracy Jr., did everything he could to keep them in the game. He had his highest. This is the 4th time in his 6 starts that he had at least 3 runs of 10 or more yards. He adds a lot of explosiveness to them, especially for a franchise that is under big scrutiny for letting go of Saquon Barkley. He surpassed Devin Singletary, who was presumptuously the lead back as the season started. Like I said, Tyrone Tracy finished with 103 yards on the 18 carries, but that fumble happened so fast. I went out to get something to drink. And I saw that they had flipped the coin. I was like, oh, okay, the Giants got the ball. Like, they just had a pretty decent series where they were able to get down and kick the field goal after the series before where they got down to kick the field goal. But of course, Daniel Jones threw an interception, so that didn't count. I figured they would at least have another opportunity to get close enough to possibly get a touchdown. And literally before I walked back in my room, I saw that the Carolina Panthers had the ball on like the 20. And I'm like, what happened? So it sucks for that young rookie. I definitely give kudos to his teammates for, trying to console him. It's got to be unconsolable where you felt like, you put a lot of pressure on yourself. But just know the whole team sucks. It's not you. You'll be there a lot longer than some of those players that are still there. Probably longer than the coach and the GM at this point. As we know, John Mara, the owner, stated a couple of weeks ago that he had no intention of firing Dable, firing Shane. He said that a couple years ago, and he ended up doing so a couple weeks later. I don't know what else they're going to do. There's reports already that some people don't expect Daniel Jones to take another snap as a New York Giant, even with 7 games remaining in their season. Well, 6, I think they still have a bye. And I don't blame him. To be fair, he has the injury clause in his contract. Oh my God, you don't want him to play and then get injured, and you got to guarantee all $23 million. You don't want that. You already gave enough. Let it go. Let's see what Drew Lock can do. Maybe it'll do something, but you don't want them to do too much, because right now I think they have the 2nd overall pick in the draft next year. They're gonna need it. So it's just terrible. Like I said, their defense is just even regressing. The Panthers racked up 188 yards on the ground, 153 of them by running back Chuba Hubbard, who just signed an extension for $33 million. and he went out there and showed them exactly why they re-signed him. My man Miles Sanders went to Carolina and just faded away. He's just out there. I don't know what he's doing out there at this point. It's bad for him out there too. But yeah, the defense is regressing. The Giants have allowed an average of 168 yards on the ground over the last 3 weeks, and our fourth worst run defense after 10 weeks of this year. Daniel Jones, again, in his 6th season, doesn't even look as good as he did as a rookie, which is, you think he's supposed to get better as time goes on. In 2019, he threw 24 touchdowns and ran for 2 more. He has not thrown for more than 15 in any season since. Yeah, it's pretty bad. I feel for you, New York fans. It's only going to get worse before it gets better. They are on a bye this week. They play the weekend of Thanksgiving against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who are a little up and down as well. But I believe they might be getting Mike Evans back by that game. So just go ahead and add another one to the loss column. I'm sorry, New York. It's just a wrap for you guys. Next game, we did have an interdivision game this week. Philadelphia Eagles versus the Dallas Cowboys. Dallas Cowboys lost to the Philadelphia Eagles 34-3. Excuse me. On the Cowboys side, Cooper Rush was 13 of 23, 45 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions. He was sacked once and had 2 carries for 2 yards. We did have a Trey Lance sighting, 4 of 6, 21 yards, 1 interception, and was sacked twice. Rico Dowdle had 12 carries for 53 yards, 3 receptions for 3 yards. And Jake Ferguson had 4 receptions for 24 yards. First of all, Jerry, get some curtains. Okay, let's start there. Just get the curtains, bro. You ain't gotta tear down the whole Coliseum. You ain't gotta tear down the whole thing. Get some curtains. I read some things from people, I guess, who live in the area, and there are other events that go on at the AT&T Stadium. They said they have curtains. They put them up for concerts all the time. They just won't put them up for the football games. I don't get it. This game started off pretty shaky for both teams. It was very sloppy in the first quarter for both teams. Both teams committing turnovers. Cooper Rush with the exchange. I'm sorry, I didn't say our stats. Hold on. On the Eagle side, Jalen Hurts was 14 of 20, 202 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, 5 sacks. He had 7 carries, 56 yards, and 2 touchdowns, and 1 fumble loss. Saquon Barkley, 14 carries, 66 yards, 1 reception for 12 yards. A.J. Brown, 5 receptions for 109 yards. Dallas Goedert, 2 receptions, 25 yards, and 1 touchdown. And welcome to the league, rookie Johnny Wilson, 1 reception, 5 yards, his first touchdown as a pro. But yeah, like I said, Jerry, get some curtains. Like I said, the game started off really, really sloppy for both. A lot of fumbles early on. There was an exchange between Cooper Rush and the center. That happened. Ezekiel Elliott fumbled into the end zone. Jalen Hurts threw an interception where this might sound biased, but I promise I'm not being biased. It was a better play for Trayvon Diggs than it was a bad throw for Jalen Hurts. Trayvon Diggs just had amazing hands. Like, I didn't think he was going to get to it, but he did. And then, of course, he also had a fumble close in the red zone as well. But the defense was, I don't even know if you want to say it was the defense that caused them not to score a touchdown. The sun caused them not to score a touchdown because, to be fair, had the curtains been closed, I'm pretty sure CeeDee Lamb would have caught that ball for a touchdown. I'm just going to say that that's probably the truth. That's, I'm trying to be as unbiased as possible. Micah Parsons came back from his high ankle sprain, and I mean, he picked up where he left off. To be fair, he was very disruptive. Demarion Overshawn as well. I mean, he was blowing up Jalen earlier in the first quarter as well. But the Eagles were able to wear him down eventually. When you got Cooper Rush down for 45 yards, and we already know the run game is not doing much, and then the run defense isn't doing much. Saquon, I think, was like his first game with less than 100 yards rushing. But with Jalen rushing for 56 and Saquon rushing for 66, as a team, we're over 100. That's always going to be helpful for them. The secondary did pretty well. Like I said, they pretty much held CeeDee Lamb to probably his worst outing. I don't want to say ever, but one of his worst ones. But of course, you have Cooper Rush and Trey Lance trying to get you the ball. It's going to be difficult. You got Dak Prescott out for the year with a torn hamstring. Let's just talk about how Dak Prescott and then Brandon Ayuk, they fought for their contracts, and I don't blame them. Don't blame them at all. This is the reason why they fight for those contracts, because at any given moment you can have a season-ending injury, and you don't want to be stuck out in the cold with not a dollar to cover your behind. So congratulations to them. They did what they had to do. It sucks for both of their franchises that both of them are out. We had a Kenny Pickett sighting briefly, but he was there. I like to see it. The Philadelphia Eagles were able to rest a lot of their starters in the fourth quarter. Dallas Goedert came back after his hamstring injury with the 2 receptions, 25 yards and a touchdown. Devontae Smith didn't get too involved, but didn't need to. Jahan Dotson actually caught a pass again. It's 2 weeks in a row. I don't know what we've been doing with him, but he finally is getting a little bit involved at that. Bryce Huff, who came in the offseason, who was supposed to have a big impact. He's starting to kind of really hit his stride a little bit. I don't know if you want to call it a true stride, but a little bit. He was able to finish with 1 tackle, 1 sack, and 1 tackle for loss, and 1 quarterback hit, while finishing as the highest graded player overall. So he had a pretty good game. Jalen Hurts, like I said, on the defensive side for the Cowboys, their defense played pretty well in the beginning. Like I said, Michael Parsons, a lot of pressures on Jalen, and we know that that's been one of his Achilles heels when it comes to his quarterback play. This was probably one of his most impressive when it came to having to deal with the pressure. He was pressured on 13 of 21 first half dropbacks, 62%, the highest rate he's faced in a half during his career, with a minimum of 5 dropbacks. He completed 5 of 6 passes for 101 yards and a touchdown to go with 5 sacks, the 1 fumble on the play, of course. So he definitely, he took a step in the right direction in that situation. I don't want to make this a big thing, because we know that the Dallas Cowboys they have a lot of injuries, Dak not being there. It's a tough situation for them completely, not just football wise, because that goddamn Michael Parsons cannot shut up. God damn. I just want him to be quiet. That's all. I'm sure we get to it later, but I just want him to be quiet. He won't be quiet. Just come on. But yeah, it was a tough game for Dallas. I think pretty much everybody saw it coming. But for Philadelphia, it was a game that they still needed to dominate in this fashion. As I say all the time, interdivision games are wacky. They're crazy. Anything could have happened. Cooper Rush, I think he's 5-1. He was 5-1 as a starter. 1 loss being to the Philadelphia Eagles. So now he's 5-2, and both of those losses came against us. So what are they going to do? Are they going to turn to Trey Lance, give him a little bit more play? At this point, you got to figure out what you got, I guess. And shout out to linebacker Zach Bond for the Philadelphia Eagles. We've struggled at linebacker for our last couple of years, but him and Nakobe Dean have been coming on. I don't know what's taking them so long to re-sign this man, Zach Bond. They don't need to let him walk out the door at all. But the defense is playing lights out. Of course, Cooper DeJean, Quinyon Mitchell, even old man Darius Slay. It's to the point where for a minute, I forgot that we even still had James Bradbury. Forgot he was even there. I know he was injured in the beginning of the year, but forgot my man was even on the roster. So it was still a game that they needed to win, and win convincingly, especially because the constant talk is going to be that they haven't beat any team over 500 so far this year. Again, you play the teams that are in front of you. I didn't look at it. I feel like the Commanders are in the same boat, but people get talked about in different ways. It is what it is. But it will be a showdown this Thursday night. Nobody called me, nobody talked to me, because it's going to get real. So it's going to be Thursday night game between the Philadelphia Eagles and the Commanders. It will be in Philadelphia. So the Commanders will have to travel on a short week, which travel is a loose word at this point. It's like a 45-minute hour drive up the 95 at this point. But we'll take anything we can get at this point. So, and then also Jordan Mailata, his injury, his practice window has been open. He's been out the last 4 games with a hamstring injury as well. So the Philadelphia Eagles are almost completely at 100% full strength. So that's just a great way to go into this big game, knowing that we have a lot of big games really coming up. To be fair, you know, they're going to play the Commanders. They still have to play the Ravens. They have to play the Steelers. So we're going to find out a lot about them as well as the season goes on. But I'm hopeful at this point.
Yeah, I hope y'all get a chance when someone plays this back to watch the 6 smiles y'all had when mentioning the Commanders losing, because it was almost synchronized. If I have time tomorrow or Thursday, I will find the 8 to 10 second clip so y'all can see y'all over there grinning like a couple folks in Arkham.
Don't put that on me, Ricky Bobby. No.
Y'all both did that. I didn't do anything.
I needed it, okay? Because I purposely picked against them. I was like, I need the Steelers to win. One of my other good friends is a Steelers fan. I'm like, hey, today only, bro. Go Steelers. He was like, I got y'all. Thank you, sir. It got a little dicey at the end. A little dicey.
Do you know how crazy it's gotten in y'all division where this is how y'all feel about that team?
I'm telling you, right? I told you I don't like it. I need him backward.
I told y'all it was going to happen quick. They hired my guy. I told y'all it was going to happen.
Well, I will say this. It did happen quick, but I want to see it happen again next year. Whatever happens this year, it happens, right?
In their defense, I'll say this. Knowing how Adam and them go, not to disrespect the type of talent they had on their roster previously, they not close to finishing. It was a train wreck.
But I want to
I'm not trying to be mean.
With a tougher schedule next year. To be fair, I think a lot of the teams in the NFC East have what you call cupcake schedule.
Oh yeah, and it'll change. But just know, like, I'm not gonna be shocked if Adam goes back to a couple of places he used to work at, because those places got, they got money, and some of us gotta tell some of these old people, like, hey, we can't afford everybody.
You see,
but
the letter.
I'm just letting you know early.
To whoever, whatever Dan Snyder did, I'm gonna say Josh and them did the same thing. Like I
tell you, I'm letting you know right now. I would not be surprised if a whole Talanoa Hufanga is in y'all division. A whole Mooney Ward. Okay, I'm letting you know now, because the money is not available. They already went to go get kids to fill those spots, and they got nothing but money.
We got money. They could come see us.
No. Y'all already starting to do the same thing the rest of the contenders did. Replace some of the bad high place people with younger people.
To be fair, like, I think they said Darius Slay didn't play not this past game, but the week before, and they said that's the youngest our defense has been in like 10, 15 years. Like combined, it was like 26 years and like less. Look, I was like,
but it has to happen. It happens like that when you have to pay people, and then if your team, let me say this, if you're a fan of a team that's responsible, you can't keep the band together. Some people gotta go. If your team's irresponsible, they're gonna keep however many people they can keep, and then you're just left with whatever happens. But
I don't like it. I gotta write a letter. I gotta start a rumor or something. Somebody needs something.
Again, I'm going to make it my business by Friday at the latest to find that little 6 to 8 seconds of y'all grinning.
You can only do it if we win. I can't do it. I'm not.
It was so organic. 2, it was not rehearsed.
Next week.
It was so sick.
I'm not coming.
Also, for both of your benefits and well-being, at the very worst, split games with them folks this year. Do not get swept.
I was gonna say that. I feel like that's a decent thing, because to be fair, like I said, interdivision games are crazy. Like we struggled with them last year.
Just split.
I went to the game last year, and I'm like, why are we in overtime with the Commanders? What is happening, right? So, and that was early in the season. So that's why I'm like, like my Commanders friends, I'm like, are we friends this week? Because don't start me this week, because I'm not gonna be able to take it. Okay.
Also, your game's on Thursday.
I hate primetime games. I hate them.
Saying, there's no threat of you not being here next week because you have an extra 2 days.
No, there's still a threat of me not being here.
Extra 2 days.
There's still a high threat of me not being here if we lose that game. Oh my God, I'm not coming.
Oh my goodness. All right, we're going over to take it or leave it. This guy, Mr. Brian Flores, if you guys remember him, formerly coached the Dolphins before Mike McDaniels. If for all those who are not aware, this is the architect of one of the league's most just insidious defenses. I don't know what type of time he has. They find ways to make everybody's favorite quarterback look horrible. What they have going against them is Sam Darnold's going to be Sam Darnold no matter what happens in life. But that's not what this is about. We're talking about the defense, what Brian Flores has built over there, right? One of the fiercest units in the league. On Adam Schefter's podcast, he was kind of asked, or, it came up in the discussion that he would want to be a head coach in the league again. Take it or leave it. Teams should put him back in the head coach pool of candidates. From a personal preference. We all know the league's very special and who they decide to recycle and not recycle and pigeonhole and not pigeonhole. But Ray, we'll start with you and then Octavia. Take it or leave it. The performance that he's had as the Vikings defense coordinator, routinely at the top of the league the past couple of years. Take it or leave it that he needs to be firmly in the head coaching part of the pool of candidates.
Definitely take it. Given some of the people that are sitting in that seat on some teams, can't do no worse. But that's just common sense. But given his track record, I mean, I think he's more than deserving. But like you said, we know how that goes. And it sucks that has to be a part of the conversation. But we live in reality, man, and we understand how that process goes in that league. But yeah, he's earned his shot, and hopefully he'll get that opportunity again soon.
Octavia,
definitely taking it. Like you said, he's proven himself again as a defensive coordinator. He worked his way back up from the Tua situation. He was. What was he, a linebackers coach for the Steelers or something like that? He excelled there where he was able to parlay that into a defensive coordinator position for the Minnesota Vikings, and we've seen what he's been able to do. He's very humble, in my opinion, about how he handled situations. Of course, the whole Tua situation that happened early on in this season, and I think he definitely deserves another chance. I know it's tougher for, of course, people that look like us. To get a second chance, we have to be perfect every single time. But there are multiple coaches that get multiple choice chances. And like Ray said, there are a lot of coaches right now that have had multiple chances, even within the same team. There's coaches that have been still in the same head coaching position and their team has sucked the past 3 to 4 years. Matt Eberflus. Like, come on, bruh. Let's be real. He deserves an opportunity. Now, if somebody does, I just want them to give him a genuine opportunity. If somebody really feels like he's not going to be a good fit for their team, understood. Cool. But I don't want them to just blackball him because of the situations that he's been in. I think it was also the suing of the league and the things of that sort where we know that those billionaires, owners stick together to a certain extent. So I'm just hoping that he gets a fair shake and that somebody really just gives him a look based off of his football knowledge and what he can bring. Obviously, he has a good rapport with his players because even when the Tua situation came out, he had multiple of his players come out and defend him. I think even in the press conference, they were like, we standing behind him during the press conference, like, what's up? Like, we got his back. So it shows you that he can definitely be a leader of men. It shows you that he can learn from his mistakes and go on and prosper. And I think he would be a great addition to anybody, to any team as far as a head coach. And a lot of these teams need some damn defensive acumen, to be fair. So he could bring a lot to that organization. So I just hope he gets a fair shake.
All right. You already mentioned somebody. Obviously, you didn't know this in advance, but since you brought up Mr. Eberflus,
No.
Decisions this man's out here making right now. Shane Waldron, their offensive coordinator, just 10 months in, no longer has a job in Chicago. Head coach Matt Eberflus promised changes and adjustments for his team, and passing game coordinator Thomas Brown has been promoted to OC. Shout out to Thomas Brown. Hopefully, he does a great job in his role, and he finally gets his footing that he deserves as OC. As Ray just mentioned, we know how hard it is for African American candidates to especially get that shot at OC. Yeah, if everybody is old enough to remember the wild journey that Eric Bieniemy went on as a African American OC. But Thomas Brown, you know how people love just giving people opportunities out of the McVay, Shanahan scheme book, that whole family thing, whatever. Thomas Brown originally came out of the Rams a few years back. I think it was the Panthers a little bit last year. Now with the Bears, passing game coordinator now. The interim OC, the Bears have lost 3 straight games, scoring a total of 27 points during that stretch. I'm not great at math, but that's kind of horrible. 27 divided by 3 is disgusting. And an 8-year defense is not even allowed to hit you hard on purpose nowadays. Take it or leave it is the right thing to do. Firing Shane Waldron, moving from Shane Waldron to Thomas Brown, or is it just like, Matt Eberflus doing some stuff so it's not him getting let go at the moment? Octavia, start with you and then Rick.
Oh yeah, he's definitely scapegoating on my man. Like, come on, bro. It's you. He just got there. Okay? He just got there. You've been there this entire time. Like, I understand it happens. It's the same. I mean, it was about to be the same thing that happened in New York for the Jets, but Aaron Rodgers just happened to parlay that, because how the hell do they keep Nathan, whatever his name is, and fire Saleh, but then strip him of the OC job? Like, he's still the OC, but he don't do nothing. He don't call no play. He just sit up in the booth. So I mean, it's definitely a scapegoat situation. It's kind of likened to not the same 100%, but with the Bills last year when they got rid of their OC, I guess they're hoping that it's going to do ignite some type of spark or something. But it's Eberflus, and I feel bad for Caleb. Not saying that all of it is on Eberflus. It's definitely a lot on Caleb as well. He's not processing as much as possible. But when you look around and you see these other rookie quarterbacks playing the way that they're playing, it's disheartening that the number 1 pick for the 2nd year in a row is not the best rookie quarterback that you expected them to be. And it's like deja vu all over again in Chicago, is when it comes down to how they are developing their young talent. And we knew this last year. So, that's why it's like I feel bad for them, but then I don't, because you knew this. You're doing the same thing that you did the last 3 cycles that you had with youth quarterbacks, new quarterbacks. So, yeah, it's a scapegoat. Somebody's got to go. Eberflus should be out at the end of the year at minimum. At this point, they have to get somebody new for Caleb. And I just hope it doesn't further stunt his growth as far as a quarterback in this league, because now you went from already having 1 offensive coordinator to now you're going to have another offensive coordinator. Then to next year, you're probably going to have a new head coach. And then hopefully, like you said, Thomas Brown gets an opportunity to stay on, but who knows at this point? So then you could possibly have another offensive coordinator all within the span of a year. So that's a lot to digest as a young quarterback who already seems to be having some confidence issues when it comes to playing as well. So he definitely scapegoated. Somebody had to go. They had to do something to make it look like they're, trying to move in the right direction, but it was definitely a scapegoat move.
Ray, your thoughts on Mr. Waldron no longer being employed as offensive coordinator in Chicago?
Man, what Bane say to dude on Dark Knight Rises? It's like they expect one of us in the wreckage. Yeah, man. They got to collect the body somehow, right? But it goes beyond the offensive coordinator. This might be a crisis of leadership from the top. Like, is this the same front office from the Justin Fields?
So it's not the regime that drafted Justin. Okay, so it's the regime that got there last year, Justin.
Right. Okay. Yeah. I mean, they just might have to scrap the whole thing and and build from a hole in the ground because this is a mess. Yeah, I don't know, man. Like getting rid of the offensive coordinator isn't going to cure all your ailments. So, but yeah, this was definitely the first execution in a long line of them.
Man, all right. So one, Matt Eberflus, as that Ray so eloquently put it, somebody was expecting the wreckage. It should have been two, y'all. Name was wrong a little bit. However, Shane Waldron, brother, I happen to be a fan of a team that knows something about you. You used to work in NFC West. I remember you. You're the guy who broke the Seahawks offense last year. You're the guy who couldn't figure out how to work an offense with Kenneth Walker, an above average, and I'll say average in its understatement, a decent Seahawks offensive line, Geno Smith, DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, and Jackson Smith and Jigba. This was you last year, sir. Do you know what you did to them folks? Obviously, they had to worry about what defenses did to their offense. Under your outstanding leadership, the Seahawks offense last year ranked 17th in points and 21st in yards. As Geno Smith, Kenneth Walker, Tyler Lockett, DK Metcalf, Jackson Smith and Jigba, and a couple athletic tight ends. This is what you did. You came to Chicago. I don't know why they hired you. This is why I'm mad at Eberflus. This is where my issue with you. You barely escaped the last regime's chop. Sir, I don't understand how they even allowed you to choose an offensive coordinator. However, for you to go find somebody who couldn't make it work with those pieces, and I'm not saying Seattle's like some world beaters or whatever, but I'm not going to name all those players again, but you play fantasy football, you're aware of those players. If you don't play fantasy football, some of those people you know. All right, so Seattle, the year after they got rid of this wonderful guy, that's this year, right? All the stuff going on in Seattle. They're 15th in points this year, 9th in yards. Everyone in Seattle's offense now is available to touch the football. It's really weird. The only thing they did was fire Shane Waldron. There's no new pieces there. They just fired Shane Waldron. Yeah, man, it was a terrible hire. We got to stop doing this thing where we just hire people for who they know. Please stop doing it because it costs people jobs. And as Octavia mentioned, this is the second year in a row where we saw the difference between the guy who got picked number one and the guy who picked number two, not really being their actual individual talents, but the places they landed. CJ Stroud landed in D'Amico land. You know what D'Amico and them believe in? The Kyle crap. You know what that is? Make it easy on the quarterback. And it's a system they showed that almost anybody can run it. Shout out to Jimmy G. Almost anybody can run it. It's proof. And Tua Tagovailoa. Almost anybody can do it. Then you got this year, you got Caleb with, bless his heart, talent, whatnot, one of the worst OCs ever. And you get Jaden going into a team in Washington where I know Cliff was a terrible head coach. Again, one of the most annoying things to me as a Niners fan, last 10 years of my life, was Cliff Kingsbury, Kyler Murray, and whoever the hell they had to throw to because it was annoying. That man would run a screen pass out of any formation. So you gave Cliff a whole taller than Kyle Murray quarterback. He was over there with a toddler who couldn't see stuff going crazy. Jaden's a normal sized human being. He's out there doing stuff. Where they land matters. Look at Carolina Bryce Young. Where they land matters. Like we got like it's irresponsible. But yeah, man. Chicago got a lot of stuff they need to fix. Speaking of Arizona Cardinals, hey man, they 6-4 in the NFC West. I know nobody's talking about them. Take it or leave it that the Cardinals are a factor in the NFC. or is it just kind of like it's like cool story, bro? And in a couple weeks, nobody's gonna care because nobody remembered. But Ray, we'll start with you, and then I'd say,
Yeah, they gonna have to show me, man. Like, kudos to them for doing well up to this point, but we've seen this before, and we know how this story ends. So, yeah, get through 17 weeks first, and then maybe, I won't buy some stock, but I'll think about it. But yeah, at this point for them, this is a non-issue.
how dare you have a rational take? Octavia.
Yeah, I was gonna say the same thing. It's like you said, it's like cool story, bro. Like you just beat up on the Jets. The Jets suck. The Jets suck. The Jets have a curse over their organization. They're never gonna be good. Like this. I mean, and I say that, and I know, like I felt like there was a curse over the Lions, and we thought they'd never be good, and now they're good. The Jets are begging for something like that. So, yeah, I definitely have to see it. Like you said, we've seen this story before where they play decent. I think they're 6-4 now. I mean, that's not
4 leading the NFC West.
Yeah, but y'all are all bunched like 6-4 and 5-4 and 4-4. Like you guys are all bunched together as it is. And I mean, I know I don't know how you feel about it, but Christian McCaffrey's back. That's a big deal to me. Like y'all still have a huge chance to go on a run.
I ain't paying them people
stop wearing these little blue shorts to games, maybe, but
I don't address what Tyshawn wears. He's a grown man. He does whatever he wants to do.
Get your man out there with all them shoes on and these leather shorts.
They were cooking him, rightfully so, talking about a variant of Blade that he was the other day. And look, man, and you know where I'm at, Octavia, when I start leaving people's nicknames alone. That is Tyshawn. That's that man's business. All right. Shout out to Ricky for this weekend or what have you. But and then Demo, I think, just got an extension. So shout out to him. But whatever Tyshawn chooses to do, that's his business. All right, on to another team people should be talking about. Ray, I know you're familiar with this topic because I keep bringing this up to you every other night before and or after Wizards Outlook. So Octavia, we're going to start with you here. The Cleveland Cavaliers are 12-0. Why does nobody care? Why do I feel like I'm the only one that this matters to? They just became the 8th team in NBA history to begin a season undefeated in its first 12 games. They're the first team to accomplish this since the 2015-2016 Warriors. And for those of you that want to remember what version of the Warriors that was, the 73-9 version. However, they started that year 24-0, which is absurd. But why are folks not talking about the Cavs?
Who cares about the Cavs? I'm sorry, I'm joking. I don't know why they're not talking about the Cavs. I think part of it is because they're not really getting a lot of national games, to be fair. Like, they're not getting that many of them. So people just aren't really that familiar. Like, you really got to go out your way to watch a Cavs game, to be fair. You got to be, like, a Cavs fan, it seems like, in order to, like, really watch it. But, yeah, I mean, they beat, the Raptors, Pistons, Wizards, Knicks, Lakers, Magic, Bucks, Pelicans, Warriors, Nets, Bulls. They play the Sixers tomorrow. Then they play the Bulls again. So, I mean, they could definitely run off a few, to be fair. And I mean, LeBron ain't never do nothing like that when he was in Cleveland, but I digress. But yeah, I mean, I don't know why they're talking about them. They're playing amazing. You know, to be 12-0 that's tough. Like, to be fair, like that's tough. I feel like when the season started, there were a lot of teams that were like 5-0, 5-1. I think at one point OKC was 8-0 or something like that. Now they're like 8-1, and you know the Chet Holmgren injury is going to be concerning for them. Hopefully they'll get Isaiah Hartenstein soon. But yeah, I mean they got to lose one eventually. Like I feel like it's going to come up, but for them to be doing this, especially under the radar, especially the way their season ended last year, firing their head coach, they got a brand new head coach. And they had a lot of injuries last year as well. There was times where you felt like Spider didn't show up all the time, or Darius Garland didn't show up. They all didn't show up at the same time. But it seems like they're all showing up at the same time now. And I mean, that's the way you want to start a season. You want to start a season off high, and you want to keep going as much as you can. I feel like probably now the biggest story is gonna be like, when are they gonna lose? Like what's gonna happen. But I think the only reason people aren't talking about it enough is because I don't think they get enough nationally televised games. Like nobody's going out their way to watch a Cleveland game, to be fair. Like I unless you really are that deep into basketball and you just want to watch a game. I just don't think a lot of people are watching them if they're not in Cleveland, to be fair. But we probably should pay a little bit more attention to them. At this point, they're number one in the league. Like they deserve some more respect, definitely.
All right, Ray, to get to answer this question I've asked you 90 times already in 2 weeks.
It's because the NBA media only covers 3 teams. And that's, man, it's just gotten very lazy. They got to break out of that. Like, it's a team on a 12-game winning streak out the gate. It needs to be mentioned. Like Octavia said, it needs to be a Cleveland Cavaliers first loss watch. That's a layup, man. And people need to watch them before it's too late, because low key, that's a young team that's now been together for a few years.
Sure.
And they've been through some stuff, so they're gelling, they're learning each other, and they could sneak up on some folks. I'm going to hope that teams around the league aren't as lazy as the media is, and they're paying attention, because them dudes hooping, man, plain and simple. I know it's a lot of talk about Boston repeating, but them dudes playing the best basketball right now. So, it's again, I know it's not a sexy topic to talk about the Cleveland Cavaliers, but I don't know, from where I sit 12-0, that's something worth talking about to me.
Yeah, to piggyback off what you said too, because I think you made a really good point that they're a young team that's been together, been through a lot of stuff. It's kind of likened to what the Celtics did. Think about it. The Celtics were together for a long time. They went through a lot of stuff. They had a weird ass coaching change, very quick coaching change, and they were able to kind of take off. So, like you said, it definitely could be a sneaky situation where they put themselves like firmly in the mix, and this isn't a fluke going forward. So that's a really good point. And the NBA need to start flexing games like the NFL flex games, because I'm looking now, the next they got the Pelicans and the Thunder playing on ESPN at 7:30 at the same time the Cavs are playing the 76ers. Zion ain't playing. Everybody in New Orleans is hurt. Flex the game. Like, come on. It's at the same time.
All right, not start flexing NBA games. I'm not mad at it though.
Do it.
As much as people get hurt in this league today, I tell you wanted something. All right, last one of the night. Promise. Klay Thompson's gonna be facing the Warriors for the very first time since he joined the Mavericks. I hear a few of his comments prior to tonight's matchup. Again, this is just several comments. This is not to paint anybody any special type of way. Just sharing some comments. Obviously, there's questions that preceded each of these comments, folks. Again, questions that preceded these comments. That was my main goal at this point in my career. I just want to win. This team is so close. I just want to be a part of that when July hit. It's human nature to think about your future as present as you're supposed to be. We're all human. We all think about that. Now to know I'm locked in for a few years here, it allows me to be free. It'd be good to see people you grinded with, obviously, but to me, it's just another regular season game in November. I just freely thought about it at the end. I was like, do I have more to give the Warriors? Or we're going somewhere else, motivate me to add a new chapter to my legacy. And that's what I decided on, and I haven't looked back since. So as you guessed, bringing that up because tonight while we're recording, I think, 45, 50 minutes from now, that game tips off Mavs, Warriors, or whatnot. Warriors got off to a hot start this season. The Mavs trying to find their way. I think they're floating around 500-ish or whatnot. For those of you that care about this sort of thing or don't know, NBA Cup play has started. So, the whole thing the Lakers got all excited about that turned into nothing at the end of it. Octavia started it, so I fired a shot. I guess Ray would start with you. Just your thoughts on, Klay's I don't think any of us are shocked at like Clay's responses, but do you think like this is actually a big thing, or is it not that big after like, we saw this happen with Kevin, but Kevin and Clay are two different people in terms of how they fit into the the equation for the Warriors?
Yeah, that's a totally different situation. Like Clay was there his entire career, and had a lot of success with them. And I would be willing to bet that he wanted to remain there. But I mean, business is business, and while I understand him wanting to continue to be in a place, the only professional setting he's known, I understand why they moved on. So, and I understand why he would kind of feel some way about that. So yeah, man, it'll be interesting to see how it shakes out tonight. If he wasn't up for any game this season so far, he won't be up for this one. So, hey, man, if we get a vintage Clay game against the Warriors tonight, that would be crazy. But yeah, it's definitely got to feel. He's got to feel weird about that. His first time back is, especially with the way his career ended there, having to battle through all those injuries the last few years, and then just not playing his best basketball and just kind of became a casualty of war, so to speak. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's an emotional night for him.
Octavia.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely going to be. I mean, I feel like he gave us the political answer as far as, it's another game. It shows that, of course, he's focused on his present and his future. But it's definitely going to be a big deal. It's Klay Thompson. He said he spent his entire career in Golden State. He won 4 championships with them. It's going to be his first time back there as a visitor. I think I've already seen like a little bit of the pregame where like he arrived at the stadium, the entire employee staff was there to greet him. It's going to be, you're going to get the warm and fuzzies in the beginning. It's going to be interesting to see how each team can get past that, because it's going to be emotional in some sense of the word. Maybe not like, oh my God, I'm so sad to see you or anything like that. But it's going to be weird to see him. To me, it's still weird to see him in a Dallas uniform. Like, it's super weird when I'm like, dang, he do play for them. I forgot. So it's a little bit weird in that sense of it. And to think about it, Golden State is off to a pretty good start this year as well. They were on, I think they had like a 5-game winning streak or something like that at one point. So it's definitely going to be a thing. But I'm sure both teams are happy to get this over with early in the season, so it doesn't linger, and that they both can say, it happened, we move forward. But it's a thing, it's it happens. He's one of the lucky ones that he's able to return to a team that he did some things for, and they're going to be grateful and appreciative of the time he was spending there. Paul George ain't like going back to LA. So, he getting the good treatment. Paul was out there getting booed every time he touched the ball. And, if you think about it, they both kind of did the same thing as far as leaving for a better opportunity and more money and more opportunities to a certain extent. But Clay got his team a couple rings, I don't think Paul George did that.
Oh man! All right. With that note, we appreciate y'all for tuning in this week. Appreciate Cardell checking in. Grateful for Octavia and Ray sharing their very, very, very wise insights on so many different topics. They're taking to leave it. Rapid fire. We'll get at y'all next week. Don't forget get over to BeFocusTV.com and get the channel on your Roku television and or device. Type in the search box, The Focus TV, double tap OK, and a remote, and the channel will be added. We'll see y'all next week.